Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, word to my brethren in Dallas, Texas, Sheffield, United Kingdom, and Clearwater, Florida. Shout out to you guys in them areas if you're out there in the world watching this video. But I wanted to talk about fighters in those three places because interesting stuff was brought up by Derek James, the trainer of Errol Spence. It was reported on Boxing Scene on the date of January 23rd. Basically, Errol Spence's trainer is asking the question that I think is a good question to ask because nobody seems to be asking this question. Why in the hell is Keith Thurman getting a pass from fans and boxing media that Kell Brook didn't get? And I think it's a good question. So let's get into what he had to say in regards to this, and I'll give you guys my little 2 cents. Here's what he said in regards to Keith Thurman's reluctance to fight his fighter, Errol Spence Jr. He said, I quote, "We are giving Keith Thurman an allowance that we did not give Kell Brook. Because the world expected Kell Brook to fight Errol Spence next, right? But you're giving him a pass now because he came out of surgery. Both are the same situations, so he shouldn't be allowed to wait for 2 years, whatever he wants to do. He should be able to get in there and take the fight." End quote. So with that being said, man, like I wholeheartedly agree with Derek James, man. Like, they are the same situations in a couple ways. Like in one way, like Kell Brook had a fight against Gennady Golovkin, got his orbital bone broken in the fight, had to get a surgery, and then he made the fight with Errol Spence 8 months after the Golovkin fight. Keith Thurman had a fight with Sean Porter last year. Then he had his annual yearly injury because he gets injuries all the time these days. He had it because if you guys remember before they made the Porter fight happen in what was it? Hold on, let me pull it up. They made the Porter fight happen in June of 2016, but they were supposed to fight in like December of 2015 or something like that. But it didn't happen because Keith Thurman had gotten he got into that car accident or whatever, and then he got injured that year. So the dude's constantly getting injured and whatnot. And he got injured again in the Danny Garcia fight. So now we as boxing fans have to wait because of his injury, which I think is like it's ridiculous when you look at his timeline, because like he's saying like, oh, we're gonna fight in 2019. Truth be told, Keith Thurman's been in boxing for a long time. Keith Thurman's a very talented fighter. Keith Thurman should just have one tune-up fight, which is March or April, and then fight Errol Spence later on in 2018. But you see what Keith Thurman's trying to do is he's trying to wait out Errol Spence. He knows Errol Spence is big for the weight class. He knows Errol Spence. He's hoping that Errol Spence a year from now will be drained at the weight, and maybe we'll have either A, move to 154, or B, be really weight drained when they do fight, so it will give him a better chance to win. So I think that's a real coward move by Keith Thurman. I think that's really, I don't even want to use the word coward, but it's a real like, it's a move that I don't respect. I don't want to use the word coward, disrespectful, but it's a move that I don't respect because of the fact that Keith Thurman won, like he fought Danny Garcia, then he went on a 1-year layoff. He was traveling to Japan and all these countries. He got married and all that stuff, which is, good for him. But like, you're a unified champion, and all this BS about like, oh well, Kell Brook, the Kell Brook situation was different because it was Errol Spence. Errol Spence was his mandatory. This is even more important than the mandatory. This is a freaking unification fight where if they did fight, 75% of the belts, 3 of the 4 belts would be on the line. That's a massive fight for the welterweight division. So I don't want to hear all this BS about, oh well, the fight's in marination, and I don't think I have to fight him right now, and it's not on my immediate to-do list. BS. You just don't want to fight him because you're gonna get beat up. You're gonna get destroyed. You're gonna lose. I've been saying this since 2016, like early 2016. When they fight, he's gonna get destroyed. Okay, because Keith Thurman can't take body shots. He could barely take a body shot from Luis Collazo. What the hell you think is gonna happen when Errol Spence lays some hammers on that body? It's gonna be a wrap for him. So Keith Thurman's just delaying the inevitable, and ultimately he's making this worse for himself. Like, he's gonna fight Errol Spence. Errol's gonna have another fight to get even more sharp. He's gonna have more rounds in the gym to get more top quality sparring with the Charlos, and it's literally gonna get worse for him. Like, he's literally making the beatdown worse for him. So it just sucks, man, because like Keith Thurman at one point in time, like I was a huge fan. Like I really was a huge fan of the guy. I mean, and don't get it twisted, man. Like I'm not. I don't like him as much as I used to, but I still when he has a fight schedule, I really thoroughly enjoy watching Keith Thurman fight. I think he's a very skilled boxer, but just how his attitude has changed over the years. And I understand, like, when you start becoming more successful and you get the money in your bank account and certain things are happening for you, it's harder to get up for certain fights. It's hard to still love boxing like you used to when you were like you didn't have nothing. So I get that aspect of it, but this is a man that's always talked about I have I'm not gonna let it go and all this nonsense. And he's ducking Errol Spence. He's ducking Errol Spence. Like he don't want to fight the fact that he didn't want to fight him this year. Went into unification fight when Errol Spence himself also came out and said, look, we should still fight this year. It's only January. We can fight later on in 2018 towards the latter stages. That's what makes sense. But no, this dude's trying to wait out Errol Spence so Errol can be weight drained. But then yet Kell Brook made the Errol Spence fight right after the Golovkin fight, and he got no respect for it. He got no respect. People were saying that Kell Brook was ducking him. Kell was this. Kell was that. Kell had to make a 13-pound weight cut to get to fight Errol Spence. He had to make a sharp weight cut to fight Errol Spence, and he still did it because Kell Brook is a real warrior, and that's just what it is, man. Like Kell Brook didn't get these passes. He never got these passes, and the fact that Keith Thurman's getting him, it's showing ridiculous double standards from boxing fans, boxing media. You guys pick and choose, who you criticize, who you don't, but it's just unfortunate, man. And the scenarios are different because, Errol was Kell's mandatory and Keith is a unified champion and all this nonsense. But that's the point. Keith is unified champion and he doesn't want to fight another champion to get 3 of the 4 belts, and he'll move a step closer to becoming undisputed if he should he win that fight. And being the number 1 welterweight, being the number 1 undisputed, no questions asked welterweight in the world, and that means everything as far as accolades in boxing. It should mean that to him because he's always talked about being the best. But it's crazy because we rarely hear that talk with Keith Thurman anymore. We don't hear talk about being the best or wanting to show that you're the best. We hear talk about boxing politics, and we hear talk about it's not on my immediate to-do list. We hear talk about this guy's a 140-pounder, so that win's not great. He's discrediting dudes' wins, and it's ridiculous. Like, come on, Keith. Like you're better than that. You really are better than that. And prove me wrong. Prove everybody else in boxing who thinks you would get iced, destroyed, and laid out by Errol Spence Jr. Because I think you're just delaying the inevitable. The guy is getting better. Guy is a tank at the weight, and ultimately, man, like I think you're conning the boxing fans. Like I'll come on say it straight away. You're conning the boxing fans because you've always said you had you're not afraid to let it go. And granted, you did fight Sean Porter, you did fight Danny Garcia, but let's be honest. In both of those fights, not just the Sean Porter fight, but even in the Danny Garcia fight. You were fortunate in many ways to get the decision. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, well, Keith easily beat Danny," but I don't think it was as wide as the scorecards indicated, man. I think Danny did a better job than you guys give him credit for. I think Sean Porter definitely beat Keith Thurman. So you've been the beneficiary of some real close decisions and some real close fights, and you should be thankful that you're a unified champion. And I'm sure you are thankful. That's why you're not fighting. You become content because you know you should have lost one of those fights. And you know that if you step in the ring with Errol Spence, you're going to lose that fight. So, yeah, man, it's ridiculous to me. It's ridiculous to me. I had one very prominent YouTube channel, and he may watch this video because he says he watches my channel, but I don't know if that's true. But there was one prominent YouTube channel. I made a post about Kell Brook about a week or 2 ago, and this dude had the audacity to call Kell Brook soft. He was saying Kell Brook was lying about his orbital bone surgeries and all this BS. And I'm like, bro, like what are you smoking? Like, dude was calling Kell Brook soft. I'm like, that's laughable. That is laughable. You could say Kell Brook. I don't care if you say Kell Brook quit. You could have your opinion on that. But fact of the matter is, the dude stepped in with Gennady Golovkin when Daniel Jacobs didn't want to fight Gennady Golovkin. When Canelo didn't want to fight Gennady Golovkin, he stepped in the ring with Gennady Golovkin as a welterweight. He went from 147 to 160. Then after that, he went down to defend the belt that he won from Sean Porter on the road, by the way, and He defended against Errol Spence. Now, granted, he lost both fights. We don't want to give the guy too much credit because he lost. But the fact of the matter is, he had the balls to step in the ring with two of the most destructive forces in boxing. And as far as I'm concerned, in the Golovkin fight, I thought, he lost. I think he won maybe 1 or 2 rounds. But in the Errol Spence fight, I thought in both fights, really, he gave a good account of himself. So even though he lost both those fights, he still gave a great account of himself. And it is what it is, man. The thing is, Keith didn't get the passes that Kell Brook didn't get the passes that Keith Thurman is getting, because what is it right now? It's January. His last fight was March of 2017. So what you got? Roughly right now, he hasn't fought in 10 months. By this point, after the Kell Brook fight, after Kell Brook's fight against Gennady Golovkin, when he fought Errol Spence 8 months after the Gennady Golovkin fight. It's the 10th month since Keith Thurman fought Danny Garcia, and he still hasn't got in the ring. And he was supposed to fight Jesse Vargas, but that fight's not even happening because it seems like that's too tough of a fight for Keith. So they're going to probably get an easier opponent for him, and that's just what it is, man. But it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. I really have nothing to say. Like, I'm not even going to do the little outro. It's ridiculous.